Hey everyone. Welcome. Is that my phone? Welcome to the daily tune in. I have a brand new person. Just an FYI, our kitchen's a little bit messy. Bud has been in there cooking and prepping for dinner. I've got some really good pictures to share on Instagram because it's making me quite excited. Um We are back. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. Good morning to you. And Carol. Hi, Carol. Mwah. So good to see your name. And Jessica's name of two, of course. I come to you with really curly hair today. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out my hair. It frizzes really badly here. So I remembered that I had this like creamy coconut stuff, and I put it in today, and my hair went ding. So I'm here and I'm noticing how silver my hair has gotten. It's so crazy to be in the part of life where my hair is going silver. But that's what this past year's with this damn ascension journey is making. It's making me silvery and light and white. That's how I'm going to look at it. Because this past year took me into some things that the old world might say, well, no wonder you're going gray. It aged you, that journey. But I'm going to say that I actually grew so much that now I'm growing silvery, beautiful, light hair. Um, but y'all, I have lived another day. I lived to see another day. If you were here yesterday, many of you were, you know that it was a really, really rough day. And what I'm starting to respect really, um, really sacredly in this process is now I know, that saying this too shall pass is true. And it passes in such a loving and beautiful way. And I would like to extend, keep the story going from yesterday into today, because I do believe that we are in the beginning. I'm going to call them contractions of the solar flash, and I'm going to attempt to bring it together in a tangible way, because it's coming together we formulated in consciousness, and now it's coming together in physical form, in the physical expression. And I'm going to take you through my day a little bit to just give you some tangible evidence of what is happening and how this is going down. So again, yesterday, what I notice is that as these energies come in, they're taking us down. It's not necessarily one last dip. It's just kind of like a final rinse, right? A final rinse, and taking us down into those depression days where it depresses you down, squeezes out the yuck. And I brought that for you with perfect evidence of what that looks like yesterday. And it looked very messy, and it looked very tiring. And it was extremely tiring. But yesterday, after I finished up, I love this. The universe, we are also rewarded for this journey. And I'm so grateful to have the eyes to see the rewards, because you don't get paid. It's not like someone slips well, of course I'm open to that. Someone slipping an envelope under the door. But after finished the DTI yesterday, I was quite exhausted, but just enough. And I needed air. I needed earth. I needed the world. Actually, I needed people of all things. And so I told Bud, I was like, let's go grab Pat, who's our neighbor downstairs, and let's go downtown and just walk down and have a beer and just breathe for a minute. And and we did that, and my eyes were puffy. I was like, they just wanted to shut, but I wanted to be around people. And we went to this little restaurant, and typically our friend Pat is this beautiful professional spear fisherman. He's like, I don't know, he's in his early 30s. He's young, he's just sweet. Bud and I kind of like taking him under our wing, like with our other neighbors, and we just like take care of Pat, and Pat entertains us because he reminds us of who we were when we were his age. And so we'll usually have a beer, maybe two with him, and then like Pat goes on his partying way, and we go to bed. And if he's not out of our apartment by like 8:30 or 9, we're kicking him out because we're like, Pat, we can't stay up that late. But anyway, so we grabbed Pat, we went down to this restaurant, and we walked in. There were these these three beautiful souls sitting there, and they spoke English, and they had just come in. They were U.S. citizens that had just arrived in Saranda, and they had gone on a long road trip to get to Saranda, and we're just super stoked to be here. And we all sat and shared like travel stories, and we sat and laughed with each other as people as they told the different stories about really travel. And it was like, y'all, my heart was swelling because there was a day that I would sit and literally in like I would just imagine, I'd go off into my own world, and I would just imagine myself in an expat community somewhere abroad, and sharing travel stories. And I thought, of course we have this idea of what it needs to look like or what it should look like. And all of a sudden yesterday I had this realization of like, oh my God, I'm getting pieces of it. The pieces of the dream are now in tangible, reaching, um, uh, not length but space. And when we like start to see it, then we can fully grasp it. Okay, so just bear with me. I'm still really processing a lot of yesterday and today, so I'm still honestly piecing it all together for me. But I think I've got a kind of a good handle on it. So I'm sitting there having this realization that this is the dream that I have always wanted to live, and swapping stories, with other people that are making their way around the world and figuring out how to do it around all the restrictions and all the crap, and getting around wars, and getting in cars. And I was just sitting there. I was like, this is what they mean when they say when there's a will, there's a way. We all had a will. All of us sitting around that table had a will to be traveling and to be living free in these last 2 years. And I was like, man, we did it. We actually did it. We have risen up above the limitations and the restrictions of that world that wants to hold us down. It didn't hold us down. It didn't hold these people down. So Bud and I came back. We went to watch a show, went to bed, and this morning I got up, and I felt tired and exhausted from yesterday. Rightly so. It was a lot of energy that was expended, and at the same time, I felt so light. Like I felt like 50 pounds of trauma and emotions had been expelled from my body. What that was yesterday, that is an exorcism, right? When we have those days where we just feel like we are purging and it hurts so badly, we are exorcising the demon of lower densities, lower emotions, all of those thoughts of that were of a lower frequency that made us think that we weren't good enough, that we couldn't listen to our own hearts, that we had to do it the way that everybody told us to do it, that we had to look around and be like everybody else. All of those demons, I'm going to call them demons so you get what I'm saying. They have to, as they come to the surface, they have to be exercised, and we've been doing that. And yesterday was what that looks like. So I exercised some demons yesterday, and I woke up feeling angelic, although tired. But we walked down to the beach, and as I sat there, we had this whole beach to ourselves every single time. Here's the other beautiful thing that I'm noticing about this ascension journey, in as we ascend into the 5D lifestyle. We are now establishing it as we speak. So when we go to the beach, and we have been going to the beach every single day, Bud and I have pretty, except for yesterday, one day yesterday, but it was a sweet little mom and her son that came, and I really enjoyed having their energy with me. But every other time, which is a lot, that we have gone to the beach, we've had the beach completely to ourselves. And it's been such an beautiful experience. So by the time the season comes here, the Riviera season, and this town blows up, and we're kind of excited about having that experience once, and we'll probably be out. But at one point or another, it's going to be a lot more. And I'm curious to see, if we still have access to that private beach, even when there's people here. Will we still be the what I'm looking for, the hypothesis, the question is, and my experiment is, can we still manifest that beach, or any beach, a spot that feels us like this privately during the summer when this town expands? I don't know, but that's something I want to try because those kind of ideas started to flood through my consciousness as we sat on the beach. We were real, but now we're real quiet for a while. And all of the sudden I started to make connections. Okay. So here's how it's coming in. Here's how the flash is coming in. So remember, the flash is really that moment in consciousness when you're the higher timeline from your higher self in this high resonance, okay, is it's in, let's say it's up here and you are here, and what we're doing, what the flash is going to do is fill in the gap between the two timelines as to the how, or the pathway, okay, because we're that close that it's the flash is going to all of a sudden go do 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 and bring it together. So today what I experienced was sitting on there, and from my level of consciousness, or not my level, my viewpoint is the energetic side, the feeling of that higher timeline. Bud, his perception is the physical world. And I sat there and I pulled in this energy and I said, honey, what about this? What if things transpire and this and this and this and this happen and all of a sudden this, and I started piecing together the energy and what he was doing at the same time. It was the most fascinating thing to observe as I was in it. At the same time, he was like, yeah, and this is how it goes. This is how it happens. And this goes down, and then that will happen. And then this pieces together, and then this person comes in, and that's how he didn't say that's how the timelines come together, but that's how I heard it. But he was, and when he met the energy that I was speaking from, because I didn't have details, I didn't have logistics, I only had the energy of it. I wish I had I never would have thought about it in that moment, but I wish I would have recorded the conversation because it was like do 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 do, and all of a sudden, and when we made contact here in consciousness of this is how this goes down, our next step, our step into that 5D reality, that beautiful dream that we have been working meticulously for, going to Mexico, going to Ukraine, coming here, allowing the peace to settle in here, allowing ourselves time to restore, going down the final dip, not the final. I keep saying final, but it's not final. It's just the final cleansings for this part of your journey, going down deep in there, kind of flushing things out, dealing with the things as they flush out, just not dealing but just being with them as you flush it out, and then all of a sudden you are a clear vessel, and the two energies come together, the energetic world and the physical world, and you have a starting point, which is the now moment in which you're in. At that point where Bud and I kind of came together in conversation, we just looked at each other, and he just like, we were both kind of like, that's how it goes down. And it was everything from how we're going to see the boys to where I was yesterday with that. I was in a lot of fear. I was working through that fear of not being able to see them, and all of the sudden now, like, here's the thing, here's why this is a contraction, okay? Not all of the details were filled in, okay? Not all the details were filled in. So what we have to do now is pay attention to the path in each now moment, the scavenger hunt. When I got home, then the breadcrumbs. When I got home, I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw something that was very much in alignment with what one of the pieces of the puzzle we talked about and clicked together in on the beach. When I got home, and on Instagram was this ad that wasn't what I needed, but it was the actual, it was just something that gave me an idea, and it connected another dot. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay. Write it down really quickly, because what's happening now is those little nuggets that are still unclear, that they are the things that are the little pebbles that are required to piece everything together. So this is a really hard, not hard. It's challenging to bring this download into context. But a couple other things I want to remind you of, and why this more evidence as to why I do believe that this is happening. So let me finish that thought on the contractions, actually, because I forgot to finish one thought. Why I'm calling them contractions is this is a really subtle process, but it's a major process. So it's kind of like labor, it starts real subtle, starts real subtle, and you're like, I got a little cramp there, and I was a little bit stronger, and then all of a sudden, like, wait a minute, is this it? Is this am I in labor? And then it grows and grows till you're like, whoa, and then the birth, right? So this is kind of the solar flash, I believe, that is in process now. It's in process. And we are in those early contraction phases where we are now first bringing it into the logical brain. Now we're pulling the vision and the emotional coding with it, pulling that into the human brain, making the brain connections so that now you walk in the step-by-step pathway towards it. And you're going to take a step and take a step and then pause until you see the next clue, until you come to the next clue. And then excuse me, and then that what I mean by a contraction, I believe this is what we're kind of getting out, is that then the next flood comes in, and from where you are, then you then piece things, you piece the logic part, and you piece the vision part, the emotional part, the electromagnetic part again, and you make that connection. And I don't get the sense this is not going to be a long process. It's going to be a kind of like a short labor, but what I believe this labor is going to be, now, in labor, 90 days would be like a huge, a huge, like, what? But this is a whole different dimensional birth in physical form for you. So the next 90 days, and that's why this is why it's making sense for me actually with the Ascension Incubator that Mary and I are doing. Like 90 days has always been a really pivotal amount of time for me personally. I could make a lot of change in 90 days, and it would take me to my brink, but I know that I can do a lot of change in 90 days. So it gives you enough time without like breaking you to work, like not work hard, but to really focus on your next evolution in those 90 days. So the next 90 days is going to be that birth tunnel. And remember, last month after the 2022 portal, we had those 2 weeks of the Ascension Bridge where we were bridging in consciousness from the fourth dimensional frequencies into the fifth dimensional. Okay, that was just a couple weeks ago, and now the physical form of it's coming in. So we're pulling that down, the codes in consciousness, making sense of them finally, making the brain and the mind connect with them. So even they're like, okay, I get it. And once that brain says, I got it, I see how we're doing this, then you start taking the steps until you've completed them, and you'll know it when you just like you're not getting too many more nudges, and then you pull down the next upgrade. I hope this makes sense. Tomorrow I am going to get into the 90 days a little bit more. I'm still downloading that. I don't know much, but there's something very pivotal about the 90 days and the intentionality in which we navigate them. So I think that's going to be a lot of our focus. I think it'll be very similar to what we're doing here, but maybe just a little bit more intentionalized or focused is what I'm gathering, what I'm getting, but I don't know what that looks like yet. So I think it's supposed to be 2 different daily tune-ins, or it might be even more. I have no idea. But that's where we are now. I had the experience of a flash in a moment at the same time as my husband, where we pieced everything together and got to a point where we're like, that's how it goes down. That's how the dream, like, that's how it all comes together. And I don't mean like all of a sudden we step into it and it's there. That would be kind of cool if it did. However, you know, the worst case scenario is we're starting from right now, and we know the steps that it's going to take in these 90 days to actually make a massive shift in the physical reality to step forward. I know this is a little bit like ethereal, but I'm trying to give specifics so that you see that this is coming together. Everything we talk about in energy, we will look at. That's the experiences we have will mirror them. We just have to look for them because they're not coming through. They very rarely come through how we think they are. And yet we're taking on a journey that's fun and keeps us interested and keeps us curious. So we're excited. And where's the next breadcrumb? Oh, the next breadcrumb is my friend just texted me and I went into a spiral. Okay, I'm just going to stay right here then. I'm not going to spiral down for a whole lot of time, but I'm going to just sit right here. It goes back to that song I was singing, sit right here on the edge of this pier. But I'm just going to sit right here right now and move through this depression. It's not the taboo thing, like that we've been conditioned to believe about depression. This is the healthy version where you have to depress down and move through that crap like I did yesterday. And then you eliminate it, you exercise it, and you come back. Now I'm refreshed. I'm a completely new. I'm not totally refreshed, but I'm renewed. I do know that, and I am continuing to refresh. But today was a huge refreshing day because I was so clear, and I was that vessel that finally kind of started putting pieces together. And I know that we are exactly where we need to be. And then we left, and the reward came. The work of just sitting there and piecing this together was rewarded by our walk back. Bud got an amazing plethora of groceries, and he's been prepping and cooking. So I got something good, something really good coming for dinner. It smells so good in here. It's kind of torture because I have to sit with it all day. I thought he was making my lunch. And then he's like, I was like, honey, it's like 2 o'clock. Where's my lunch? He said, it's not going, because it was smelled so amazing. He's like, it's not for dinner. And I was crushed, but not like yesterday. So I was grateful. That was the expression of crushed I felt. So that's where we are. You tune back in tomorrow for what I think is going to be, what I believe at this point is going to be more details, more intel on these next 90 days, which is also really, really exciting for the Ascension incubator people, members. Like, I'm super stoked with you guys. We did fill the final spot, y'all. So the Ascension incubator is closed. Mary and I are going to be getting started on that round, or that group of the incubator, next week. So for you all that are here, it's going to be really interesting. I'll just say that, because we are going to be moving through these 90 days in this 90 days, which is, I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to be talking about it. So for the rest of the week, if you're in the incubator, and as we go through the messages for this week, really pay attention to how you want to express these 90 days, who you want to be. Everyone needs to be talking, or not needs to. I would suggest everybody be thinking about this. Who do I want to be in 90 days? What is, not where do you want to be? This isn't like I want to be at the house and this and this. This is, who do I want to be in 90 days? And all the different ways that can be expressed. So really be honing in on that today. And then we'll see how that takes us into the next 90 days. Something is happening here, y'all. That's all not that all I'm going to say. It's all I know to say, but I can feel it so palpably. And I really want to pay attention to this. I really want to work through these next 90 days with our Ascension Bank members on our group calls, as well as the incubator, the intimate incubator. That's going to be more intensive. So just be prepared to be astonished, is what I'm hearing, for the next 90 days. So I don't know what that means, but for now, for this now moment, you are in the contraction phase. So be paying attention to what pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. Don't look out there. You don't need to be tuning into Telegram, because I know it's hard not to. It's just, this is your time to see your vision, connect into the now present moment, so that you then can look at your feet and know that you are in that 5D timeline, and it's just simply moving forward step by step by following the electromagnetic field of you, which is your thought and your feeling, and those together, what excites you, what brings joy to your heart, what expands you, and only that is chosen. So We are, I do believe, I can safely say, we are in the solar flash and we see evidence. We see solar flares more than ever, one after another, coronal mass injections. We are just like to do, to do, to do, to do, to do, to do, to do all day long. It is really, and you can see these are not like rain clouds out there. This is a thick fog. A lot of people saying it's the Sahara dust, which, is the physical manifestation. This density that we're seeing in the atmosphere is the physical manifestation of the energies that are going on in the atmosphere, and all of this. So this is what we're seeing. This is the physical world that we're seeing, and the energies that are just bombarding us are creating this density that we can now see, and it's flushing everything out. And it's also kind of like pressure cooking information, intel from your higher self, or from really the sun rays, into your consciousness. So that's what's happening right now as we speak. So let's go see what you guys are doing. I'm gonna actually take a sip of my water really quickly. Thanks, Christina. Love your curly. I don't know. I don't look the same to myself with curly, like with it this curly. I quite frankly forgot that it gets this curly. I didn't. I know it gets really frizzy, but if I do something with it, I guess it gets pretty curly. The silver is beautiful. Thank you. It's weird. I'm getting used to it. Christine says Viore Beauty is the most amazing shampoo and conditioner bar. Zero plastic and helps women on the island. Oh, okay. I'll check it out. Hello, Kazembe. Nice to see your name. Had another dream about you last night. I met you, Bud, and the dogs at the pub. I saw Pepe. That sounds about something that could really, truly happen. It's called The Place, not the pub, and Pepe will probably be there. But very cool, Jessica. That reminds me, actually. The other thing I was consciously aware of, and it's hard to explain, but I feel like I'm pretty mastered at it. I don't know if that's the right word, but I can't think of another one. At night, I have been noticing in the last night. I'll just talk about last night, because I was really, when I went to bed, I asked for more information on what what more I needed to know about yesterday, and the process that I went through, and to help me remember it. And I was having these actually, it's funny, Jessica. Excuse me. I was having these little, like, pocket dreams. They were all like, it was like so hard to explain. It was like a visual. It was like a movie. It was like a reel. Like, not. I mean, kind of like an Instagram reel. It was just like a chunk. It was a chunk of something, but it was actual life. Like sometimes dreams are a little bit distorted, or there's like someone is like your mom in the dream, but it like doesn't look like your mom. It's somebody else. So it's like a little bit. You still have to. It's a mystery, kind of. You still have to piece it together. This was very literal and very lucid, and I could see pieces being, or I could observe. I was observing pieces of my own pathway being connected. And then I'd be like, okay, I get that. But when I woke up, I couldn't quite remember like what the dream was. And yet, an hour or two later at the beach, all of a sudden these connections started being, made and coming into my consciousness, into my conscious mind, for it to even notice what was like, oh, so the logic and the energy came together. So pay attention to the dreams. They feel like they're going to be a little bit more literal, and maybe not. Maybe that's not going to be your experience. That was my experience, but there was something in the meat and the feeling of the dreams that was very lucid and very obvious to me. So check out your dreams. Just pay attention. Hello from breadcrumbs everywhere, Michelle. I love that. Yeah, we'll be talking about the breadcrumbs on our next Ascension Bank call for sure. The breadcrumbs are more like full loaves hitting me in the head. Yeah. That's how it was when I literally, I mean, I maybe scrolled twice with my finger on Instagram when I came across that one ad or whatever, and I took a picture, I took a screenshot of it. It was like, oh my gosh, that just connected a dot for me. Just some words, like 3 or 4 words. I was like, "Oh," and I just giggled because the ad had nothing to really do with the subject. It was just the context of the words in which I saw. My eye took me right to my eye, or my eye took me right to it, and it made me giggle. So yes, that's a good point. Who said that? Lisa. So breadcrumbs are getting bigger and more obvious. That's good, you know. So the contractions are getting, now these are like good contractions. Think of these of like, I feel like, or you know what? There's going to be the opposite expressions was coming to me. The contractions can be painful. It depends your experience of this solar flash. This solar flash is going to be based on your frequency. Okay. So all of a sudden, connected dots are going to happen for all of humanity. And, for those that are very much still in the lower vibrations of fear, not in a judgment way, but just in the lower frequencies of the fear based world, those contractions are probably going to feel painful. And then there's going to be the opposite expression and everything in between, depending on the frequency. So I notice that the breadcrumbs are getting more obvious. The contractions are getting more obvious. So yes, pay attention to that. I agree with Biore. I'm surprised I've never heard of it. I use their bars, and you all are talking about it. Carly says, "Oh, okay, Biore probably have a fragrance." Okay, I've been in a real time dream, seeing pieces from the past move through to the future throughout the days, clicking things in place, pieces of this journey and its lessons, kind of like turning pages. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't This came up when I was reading that, Michelle, and I'm not sure if this is what you're talking about, but after Bud was cooking and I was farting around, like I'm just trying to figure out Instagram, like just because I like there was a moment I was like, you know what? Well, part of my 90 days started coming up. I'm going to tell you about it tomorrow, but there's a reason now I'm a little bit more interested in Instagram. And if I remember tomorrow, I'll tell you. But I was just figuring something out. And um, oh, hold on. I spent so much time blabbering through that. Let me just go back to the thought. Bud was cooking. I know exactly where I was with like what did I what was flashing back to. That's it. Um, And I had this thought, and I was like, "Wait a minute! I wrote something about that. I already wrote something about that. I was having this these creative ideas coming in for a post, and I realized that I'd already written it. So I went to my Google Keep, which is where I keep all my thoughts, which so the whole thing's crazy mess. But I went in and I it's not a crazy mess actually. It's quite creative if you go in my Google Keep, but I saw something I wrote 2 or 3 days ago. And as I wrote it, when I was writing it 2 or 3 days ago, I was like, I am not posting this because I don't even understand it. And I'm not sure I fully believe it. And as I was standing in the kitchen, that post came to my mind. So I went and pulled it up and read it. And when I read it, I got the confirmation of it's about time. It's about time. But there's still one piece for me to have full faith in that post that I need filled in. So that's in my awareness as I go throughout the rest of my day, looking for that last breadcrumb. Once I have it, that's given me the confirmation that it is time to post that particular post. But it's interesting because I wrote it 2 days ago, and in the consciousness I was in 2 days ago, I didn't understand it. But it was my higher self feeding it through, channeling it through. She's just like, here, while you're at it, just put these words together and worry about it later. We'll come back to it. And that's what I did. So now I'm having these visceral and obvious moments of seeing where my higher self has left me, not clues, but left me actual experience to what is that she would leave? She left me an actual nugget to take into the world when I was ready, but 2 days ago I wasn't. But now she's saying it's just about time. Just hold up one more second, and I'm bringing you the last piece. So I'm not sure if that's what you meant, Michelle, but it's hard just reading from the chat and trying to be on point and figuring out what everybody's talking about. But we will definitely be digging into this in the Ascension Bank community calls And then next week for the Ascension Incubator, y'all, we're gonna have fun. But sometimes fun in this world is we're going to go deep, and who knows what we're going to see and what we're going to explore, because we're going into the abyss together. And I think it's going to be quite the journey. I, for one, have zero doubt that I will be completely different in 90 days. So let's do this journey together. So in the 90 days, we can all come back together and be like, whoa, that was a ride. Let's take this ride together, whatever it is. I'll have more information for you tomorrow. But for now, thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. Thanks for bringing your energy. So much love to all of you. And I'm so grateful to feel better. It's so good feeling good again. I love that country song. I feel good, and that is how it's done. I'm not patting myself on the shoulder. I'm just saying there is no need to fear those kind of days like yesterday, because they pass. And 100% of the time, I know now I will be tired as hell the next day, but I will be so much lighter. And I'm so proud of myself for just being in it, and then, showing up for you all and not being afraid to show what this process looks like, because it is messy, but it's the most beautiful and sacred process. Thank you for being here with me. Love to you so much. Mwah. Have a good one.